everybody, and welcome to today's episode of This Organized Life. I am your host, Lori Palau. And if you're listening to this in real time, I don't know where the summer is going. We are already into August, and it is summer is flying by. And if you're listening to this a little bit later, hopefully you'll find lots of relevant information in this episode. Wanted to talk today about some stuff that's happening in real time in my life, which is dorm room prep. And for those of you who are listening who have little ones out there, and this is not relevant to you, um, this is a lot of the information that I'm going to be sharing is common sense knowledge that you can apply even in your home or how you're setting up different areas and zones for your little ones. But specifically, I am going to be speaking to people who are in a transition with moving to your first apartment or moving, like I said, to a dorm. There's all of this change and it can be overwhelming. You're not only changing your schedule and kind of where your kind of nuclear unit is, but all of the things that you're used to having at your fingertips, you can't always bring with you. And so this is my second time around doing this. I already did it a few years ago with my older daughter, and now here I am back again. And for me, as a data nerd, and as somebody who likes spreadsheets and likes to see everything out on paper, the first thing that I did when I was working through like what does she need to bring, I don't even know where to start, was to write everything down. And for me, I did it in a spreadsheet. And so what I want to walk through with you today is the spreadsheet that I use, that I've revised and iterated, and I actually wound up creating it into a template. And we'll include the link to it in the show notes. So if anybody's going through a transition, specifically for dorms, but it could be moving to your first apartment, whatever, this has become a really, really great resource for people. And the way that I broke it down for those of you who are interested is by category. And the reason why I did that is because when we think about our stuff, a lot of times we're just all over the place with, I use this and I do this, and we're thinking about our actions, but we're not always thinking about it from an intentional strategic standpoint. And so, what I like to do is break everything down into its simplest form and figure out not just what am I bringing, but where am I going to store it? Why do I need this? How am I going to use it? What is going to make sense? So let's just start with the nuts and bolts. Okay. If your kid is going off to college, you're going to have to think about what are the essentials that they're going to bring. And yes, everyone has a dorm college checklist of all the things that you need. But what they don't provide is how are you going to apply that? What are you going to do with it? So you buy all this stuff and then you have it. And obviously, some of it, like bedding, is obvious, you know where it's going to go. But in terms of we need this organizer or we need this, cubby or whatever it is, and you don't know where am I supposed to put it? How am I supposed to use it? And that is where the overwhelm comes in. And so, what I want to do is make it a two-step process for you. So, thinking about, okay, what are the things that I'm going to need? And then how can I use them? Because what we want to do, especially as parents, is set our kids up for success as they embark on this next chapter. And I know that transition is hard for most people. Now I'm going to talk about the craziness with pandemic, post-pandemic, mask, no mask, hybrid school, online school, whatever. But we need to make sure, or we want to make sure that what we have, that when we're setting them off, that they have everything that they need. Okay, so if you're sitting by, well, first of all, if you're by your computer, you can first just go to my website and go into the free resources. And there's actually, I think it's right on the homepage, our college dorm checklist. So you can download that. And like I said, I'll have a link in the show notes. But I broke it down. And if you're watching on YouTube here, I even printed out a copy of it. See, it's color coded and it's got, I believe, 9 different categories, actually 10 different categories. And I have girls, and I'm not trying to stereotype, but there's some things that, in terms of like makeup and other things, that might not apply to all kids. But you can, the beauty of this particular checklist is that you could just eliminate the ones that don't apply to you. And so obviously, if there's ones that you want to add that I didn't include, you could feel free. But this covers most of the common areas that people are going to need. So let's just start with the categories before we get into all the specifics. Okay. Category one is bedding. Pretty self explanatory. Your kids are going to need a pillow. I always recommend getting a pillow protector, as well as a mattress pad and mattress topper and all the stuff to for bed bugs. Why do we need that? Because it happens. I actually had it happen to a friend of mine whose kid got bed bugs. So I recommend to any parent, be proactive and don't just buy them cute bedding. Make sure that you get that zipper mattress protector, and you can also get a um, pillow protector as well. And then they're obviously going to need some sort of comforter or blankets. That's, and then another thing that I put with bedding, but it kind of goes into furniture, is do they need some sort of portable like night table? And a lot of times with bunks, there are these over it, like it's a fabric that flips over the side, since you're obviously elevated off the ground, so you're not going to have a nightstand. But think about the things that your kid might want. Probably they're going to have their phone charger, but there are, if there's things that they're going to want, you were going to want something around their bedding area. So the one thing that I did for anybody that's looking at the template, you'll see to the right of every category, I just put a empty space that says status. And that you could fill in for need to buy, bought. If you are sharing this with your roommate, like if you're both doing it and you're working it off of like a Google sheet, then you can just check off like who's in charge of getting what, because some of the stuff, that some of the categories are going to be communal, so you don't necessarily need two of them. So if you're looking at it, you're wondering, what does that status category mean? It's really just notes. You could put whatever you want. So that's for bedding. The next category is bath, and the bath is pretty easy. We're going to need towels. We're going to need shower shoes, a shower caddy. You might want like one of those like hair turban things if you want. Then obviously your essentials, your toiletries, but that everyone knows that. But in terms of the volume, a lot of times people are like, well, how many towels should I get? How many sheets should I get? So listen, I don't know how often your kids are going to wash their sheets. I don't know how often your kids are going to wash your towels. My rule of thumb is I always have an extra set of sheets. I'm not really sure if my kids use them or not, but just in case, they could have one, throw one in the wash if they do wash their sheets, and that way they can just make their bed right away. That is in terms of their bedding. In terms of their bath, now again, I have girls who use a towel to wrap their hair. So I got 4 bath towels. So that way they could essentially have, because they're using 2 at a time. So they could hopefully stretch it out for the week and then, you know, do wash, or the month. Who knows how often they're going to be doing it? Not my problem. But if you're asking me, my rule of thumb is no, like 4 bath towels is plenty. And then I just bought like a pack of washcloths if they need. So I think what comes 5 or 6. I just bought a pack. And that's it in terms of the volume of stuff that you're going to need. The next category is what I call laundry and cleaning. And a lot of parents laugh with this because, again, college kids aren't notoriously known for cleaning. But I will say is if the easier that you can make it for them, and again, nowadays with Swiffer dusters and Clorox wipes, even if they're not doing a deep dive, it is very easy to set them up for some level of success. So let's talk about laundry and cleaning. So first, they're going to need a hamper. There's lots of different hampers out there that you can use. I actually found one this year for Logan that I really liked. It was from Bed Bath and Beyond. Um, Again, just shout out to Bed Bath and Beyond, not paid endorsement for them, but it's form fitted, like, so it's straight. It's not like it's just a sack, but it's gray, so it matches her room, and it can fit under her bed because we're going to elevate her bed, so it'll fit under her bed. And we can, it has a laundry bag inside. So you fill your dirty clothes and then you can just pull the laundry bag out, take it down to wash it. Or if your kid's coming home to do their laundry, they can just take it home, fold it, and then they still have the hamper right in their room, in their space. So that's what I personally like, as opposed to just throwing it into a laundry bag. But again, as long as they're doing it, I think that's really what matters. Okay. So I also, in terms of cleaning, I got my kids, both of my kids, I got them like a stick, an inexpensive, like a Dirt Devil stick vacuum that has a handheld attachment, or you could just do like a quick sweep in the room. It was, again, wasn't expensive. If you're gonna have a roommate, you could easily split that cost with a roommate if you'd like. And you never know if somebody's eating and there's snacks that spill. You want to be able to have something to be able to clean things up with. And this is very streamlined and thin, and it can like sit in a corner, behind a door, even inside a corner of a closet. So just something to think about. Laundry detergent. I went with Tide Pods or whatever brand pods. Why? It's easier for them to, less to store. It's easy. You just drop it in. You don't have to worry about measuring. And again, when space is a commodity in a dorm room, absolutely simple is best. I've learned that from experience. So that's what I do. Clorox wipes, like I mentioned earlier, great. Keep them around, especially like there's so many germs, people. You're talking about communal areas. Keep Clorox wipes. Wipe down your door handle. Wipe down your desk. Just wipe down your areas. So Clorox wipes are the way to go. So definitely, definitely highly recommend them. Um, if your kids are going to have like a coffee maker, like a Keurig, or if they have a microwave, if they're going to have anything that requires being washed, like they're not just using disposable throwaway stuff, they're going to need a little bit of, they're going to need a dish soap as well as some sort of like sponge brush or something to rinse and wash their stuff. So again, you're going to want to think about your kids' habits, and are they going to be, are you going to be having soup in your room because you're going to have to wash your soup bowl? Are you going to be having, if you're having ramen and it's right out of the container and you have a throwaway spoon or fork, it's not a big deal. But if you're going to be actually having some sort of, reusable container, you're going to have to clean it. So just things to think about. So again, you want to have these categories, but you really want to think about, how do I live? How am I going to be setting up my space? What do I want to accomplish? Because especially in a dorm room, you're talking about probably 150 square feet. They're not big spaces. And you've got, for the most part, two people in there, and it needs to function as a sleeping space, potentially an eating space, a study space, and a hangout space. So you're looking at for two people. So that's a lot for a little bit of space, for a little amount of room. So how are you going to, what are the zones that you're going to be, creating in your dorm room or apartment? So hopefully, again, these categories will get you thinking about, oh, I need to make room for this. Okay, we're going to go through two more and then we are going to take a quick break. Okay. So then the next one is pretty easy because it's personal stuff, personal goods. So again, this is going to be any toiletries if you need, a blow dryer, if you, again, nail polish, a little first aid kit. You are going to have sunscreen if you want, Tylenol, like medicine, all of that kind of stuff. And that goes into some of the general household stuff. So you have your personal stuff, and then you also have your household stuff. And your household stuff is going to be, do you want to have, you need a flashlight? You're going to probably need an umbrella, maybe a step stool, maybe a sewing kit if you want a diffuser for your bedroom, or an air freshener. Um, I got my kids wanted a heating pad, so I was like all of these like personal slash household items. And if you look on my list, they are kind of color coded the same because they're kind of related. So when you think about, okay, I'm going to buy all these things, where am I going to store them? So you're just going to get them, figure out what you need, and then we're going to talk about storage after for that. I want to take a quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to move into some of the other categories, and then we're going to talk about some of my favorite inexpensive multi-purpose dorm storage products. Okay, so we've covered bedding, bath, laundry and cleaning, personal, household. Now we're moving on to storage and organization. So, storage and organization, which is clearly my wheelhouse, you're talking hangers. And I recommend those super streamlined hangers. I recommend them over plastic hangers, excuse me, because of the volume issue. You can fit more on a streamlined hanger. I also, and this might sound like I'm nitpicking, but if you are going to be buying hangers, buy what's called a suit hanger versus the shirt hanger. And the difference is the shirt hanger only does not have a crossbar at the bottom. It only has just I'm like, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see me making, air designs, but it just has the top kind of flanking on the top, but you have nothing that you could kind of drape over like pants. So I always buy the suit hanger, which is basically like the triangle, the one with the triangle. And that allows you to be able to layer skirts, pants, sweaters, things of that nature. So always opt for the suit hanger versus a shirt hanger. You could buy them for like a pack of 50. On Amazon, again, you go to Target, Bed Bath & Beyond, any of those places. Most college dorms, 50 is going to be plenty because you don't have a lot of space. I mean, I know Logan doesn't even have a full closet. They have a wardrobe. So most college kids don't do, I mean, I know I'm generalizing, but most of the college kids in my life, between my kids and their friends, don't have a lot of hanging stuff. Most of them are wearing comfy clothes, sweats, you name it. So folding is going to be more important, which means you're going to want to make sure that you have ample storage for your folded stuff. And if you don't have enough actual like drawer space that they gave you, you can create that extra space with some modular systems. So there are hanging sweater holders like it. And again, I'll post links to all of this and I'll post some pictures in our Facebook group and also on Instagram so you can see what I'm talking about. But there are these hanging sweater holders that actually hang over the hanging rod and you can use them. But I'm calling them sweater holders, but you could put sweatshirts, you could put jeans, you could put t-shirts, but it actually gives you extra shelf space that you can add in. So that I have found to be super, super valuable for kids because this way it avoids them having to just stack stuff on top of each other. And then it becomes like this, house of cards that just comes toppling down. Another thing that you might want to consider is shoe storage, where your kid's going to be storing shoes. Hopefully, they're not going to be bringing a ton, of shoes. They're just going to be picking, obviously, some sneakers. They're going to have their shower shoes. Depending on where your kids go to school, they're going to have flip flops. They may have boots. So you have to kind of think about from a climate perspective and your kids' habits, like what they're going to be wearing. But I actually just bought for Logan because she's going to be storing her shoes underneath her bed. And I didn't want them to just get lost under there. So what I did was I bought these clear front shoebox drop shoe boxes that are stackable. So I got her a set of 6. They are sold in a set of 6. I got hers at Bed Bath and Beyond, but they sell them in lots of different places. And this way, it now she has to stick with it. She has to do it, of course, but it allows her to be able to see all of her shoes. So it's not like, oh, it got lost in the back or went underneath the bed to die and never be heard from again. So it will be in a shoebox, but the shoebox is a clear front. And instead of it opening from the top, it opens from the front so that you don't have to lift up the ones below it in order to access your shoes. And so just depending on the volume, like how much space you have, you could buy, you know, as many as you need. But I like these. They're sold in a set of 6. I got 6. That should be fine. And it also helps you to kind of set parameters of how much you can bring. I don't think they would be good for boots. That might have to be something different. And obviously, if you've got flip flops, you could fit multiple flip flops in one cubby, but it's for like a standard, shoe or sneaker. It would be great for. Another thing that is really helpful, and this was really helpful if you have a kid that has a lot of different jewelry, even, costume jewelry or whatever, is there are hanging jewelry storage that hang on over like in a closet on the rod. And you can see it's got all these little clear pouches and they're not that expensive. And you can, like I said, you can buy them at the Container Store, you can buy them on Amazon, you can buy them at Target, just to name a few. And it's great because they can have multiple surface space is a big, big premium in a dorm room. And so since you don't have, they might be at home and used to having like a dresser that they have stuff in, multiple different places with all their stuff, you're really limited in a dorm room. So how can you see all your stuff without it getting tangled and lost in everything and quickly access it? And so this was a great way and it was a game changer. And my older daughter actually said that she really, really liked it. I just kind of took it was more of an impulse buy. I was like, oh, this might work. And I got it. It was designed really for travel if somebody's traveling with a lot of jewelry. But I thought, hey, this might be a really good thing for her to use in her dorm. And surprisingly, she said it really was. So it's something that I've been, you know, I put it on the list for people. Depending on how big the dorm room is or how you lay it out, those cubed cubbies that you can get at IKEA or Target or any of those places, Home Depot, they can be great storage where you can put different cubbies in and you could do it as a kitchen zone if you have the space. You could use it for extra clothing storage if you want to put like easy stuff because you're talking about cubbies. So you could put workout clothes in it or socks in it, things like that. It's also great to use if you are going to be having, let's say, a coffee maker. You could set your Keurig or whatever on top, and then you could have all of your fixins in the cubbies below. And again, that's going to depend on the size of your dorm room or your apartment, whatever you have to work with. But they come in 4 cube cubbies, 6 cube cubbies, 8 cube cubbies. So what you just need to do is look at the dimensions of your bedroom or of the room that you're going to be staying rather, and start to plot out where you think things would live. And that will allow you to say, okay, this is how much volume I can bring. I think that's it. Oh, I'm going to tell you my other favorite tip for all of these like loose products is the clear shoe boxes. love clear shoe boxes. You could buy a case of them online. I mean, again, you could buy them at the dollar store. I buy them a case at a time from the Container Store. They're not that expensive, but again, you can probably find them cheaper elsewhere. But they're great because you could have one for, like I said, one for first aid, one for, I don't know, whatever. If you have, you know, a camera and you have stuff for it, or I don't know, whatever you have, they're just great to corral things, um, for you to, if you have overflow, like an overflow stock of, like you said, Tide Pods or shampoos, conditioners, soaps, things of that nature, you can easily just put them in a shoebox and put them away. Okay, moving right along. So then we've got, which we talked a little bit about, which is kitchen and dining. So again, as much as I want to be environmentally conscious and do as much reusable, I also want to be practical and think about our kids' time and their habits. So I do recommend having a small stack of paper plates, bowls, cups, utensils, napkins, paper towels, tissues, chip clips, because you don't want to get critters. And if your kids are bringing snacks into their room, you want to have some chip clips. So I think that's really important. Um, a bottle opener, which I'm sure they already have, but a can or bottle opener. If they're going to be making soups, you want to make sure, if they are doing stuff like in a microwave or whatever, you want to make sure not all soup cans have a pop top. So you want to make sure that they have a can opener that they can use. Um, oh, uh, another like storage containers like Tupperware that they can have either leftovers if they're putting stuff away that they can if they're going somewhere whatever they can have some Tupperware and water bottles, reusable water bottles, travel mugs, things like that. So that's kind of your kitchen and dining area. And one of the things that I did, and I did it differently for Logan than I did for Zoe, is I got Logan one of those three-tiered rolling carts, and you've seen them a million times. They have them at IKEA, they have them at Container Store, they have them at Target. I happened to buy hers at Michael's. I wasn't even looking for one. I was there getting something for a project. And I walked down an aisle and I saw them. And what I liked about the one at Michael's, and I wonder if it's interchangeable, but they had these attachments. So it had a clip on the outside where you could hang for a paper towel holder. So I was like, we're going to get this. It was like $30. We're going to get this and use this as her portable kitchen area for all those supplies that I just rambled off. So having a little caddy in there for all the kitchen gadgets, if you will. And then, and you don't need a lot, like you don't need a garlic press, you don't need you don't need a lot of measuring spoons. You're not going to be baking, but basic things, you're going to want to be able to have them. And then again, we can easily just keep the plates, the cups, the napkins, the utensils, all that corralled on this one caddy, and it's on wheels. And so you can move it around. I don't know exactly where it's going to live. I mean, I have an idea based on my rough sketch of her room, but it was a small, inexpensive add-on item. And I think having a designated home for those things is really important because a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm going to buy it, but they don't really give thought, where's it going to live? And that's what the purpose of this exercise is not only what do I need, but where am I going to use it? Okay, then we have desk organization and electronics and audio. And I kind of put that similarly as two mini categories or one bigger category. So most dorms come with a desk. Now, I don't know if your kids are going to actually do work at their desk or if they're going to do work in the library or they're going to do work in their beds or in a common area. I'm not really sure. But what I recommend is I have a big desk calendar that I got that way for your visual people, they can just map out things. I'm all about using a digital calendar, but I think there's something, especially for people who are visual learners, and when you're learning to manage your own schedule for the first time, to the degree of being on your own at college, mapping out your schedule. You can color code it with different markers if you want, but really just seeing like, or I have a project due, or I have, tutoring, or if your kid's working, I have work this day, whatever it is, mapping it out. It's okay. And I would say do that in addition to your digital calendar. You're going to have your schedule on your phone, chances are, but you can also have this so that you can, as a visual reminder. And I think that's really important. Another thing is a cork board, and you could do a wall calendar depending on what your dorm's regulations are. I mean, I'm a big fan of command strips. Um, they're great. Some dorms, I remember Zoe's dorm, they were like, don't use command strips because it takes the paint off the wall. But in some places, if it's cinder block, it's totally fine. Um, I'm a big fan of it, but you can get, either a cork board or a whiteboard or some sort of memo board for you to put like by the door, on the back of your door. And that will also give you that visual reminder for whatever you need. Lamps. Most people need a lamp, so get a desk lamp. Of course, I always try to see what can I get that's going to do double duty. So there's desk lamps that have USB ports that are built in. So again, if you're not bunking your beds and your kids are going to have like a night table, it's great because they could have like a bedside lamp and then charge their phone all in one spot. So I think that's um, a great thing to have. And then obviously they'll probably need some sort of backpack, and they're going to need a hook to hang their backpack on for their stuff. Oh, and then inside your desk, I bought drawer organizers, um, which you can use that for, again, extra supplies, pens, paper, um, paper clips, binder clips, rubber bands, whatever you need. And if you have other, again, you could also use it if you wanted to store, one of your drawers, you wanted to store makeup in there, and use it as almost like a vanity. You could do that too, or hairbrushes or whatever you want, if you're going to get ready at your desk. And let's say you don't really use your desk for studying, but you're going to use it for another purpose. Having organizers in those drawers will be really helpful as opposed to you just having everything dumped in the drawers. And most of the desks that I've seen usually come with like 3 drawers on the side. So you shouldn't hopefully need too many organizers. And then moving into electronics and audio, obviously you're going to need your computer chargers, extra chargers, all that stuff. Your phone chargers, a portable charger, maybe a portable speaker for the dorm room, surge protectors, big one. Depending on when your dorm was built, they may only have 1 or 2 outlets for your in the room. And so you want to make sure with the different things that you're going to be plugging in, getting extension cords, surge protectors, all of that, that you can have, that you can easily access and not have to, finagle everything because you have one outlet and it's behind your bed. And then, headphones and the whatever charging stuff that you need for there. And if you do have a lot of stuff that you need to charge, there are, you can easily get some sort of charging caddy, um, to have all of your electronic stuff in one central hub. And I would probably lean towards using your desk area to kind of house that, with the exception of probably your phone that your kids are going to probably want to have with them by their bedside. And then the final area is more the fun area, which is less about organizing and more about decor. And, things that you might want to, if you may or may not have thought about, are an area rug, depending on the floors. A lot of the floors are, an old tile or hard tile, or they might be carpeted and they're kind of gross because, like, God only knows what's been on them. Usually a 5x7 rug works for like a standard dorm room. So you're wondering, I would say an area rug, I would get something washable, and I wouldn't spend a ton of money because you never know what's going to end up on it. And you're probably, the end, if it makes it the whole year, it'll probably get trashed. And if something, happens and you have to get rid of it, you don't want to spend a ton. So again, I think a 5x7 area rug. If your rooms are not air conditioned, you're going to need fans. Even if they are air conditioned, you might want a small room fan. But again, it's going to depend on the climate, where you are, all the things. But you're going to think about fans. Oh, this is a good one, a doorstop. When we moved in, the way that they had it, I don't know why, but the doors automatically just kind of like shut. They wouldn't just stay open. So, in order to avoid getting, having your door shut or potentially getting locked out, having a little one of those little door stoppers. So, um, buying that, I think you could just buy that online, like a hardware store anywhere. And then any decor stuff, pictures, string lights, wall art. If you do have a closet, a lot of the closets, they don't have doors and they're just kind of open spaces. Getting just a tension rod with just some inexpensive curtains that have like the grommets around. The grommets are just the big circles with the metal around it, so you can slide it back and forth. And again, it just gives you a little bit of separation of your space. And I, I, I think it's one of those things that people don't really think to articulate it, but when they walk into a space that has clearly defined zones, you feel this sense of calm and understanding of purpose, as opposed to you're just walking into the space that is your living room and your dressing room and your shower area and your study area. So just as much as you can give some separation to the different areas, I think the more homey the room will feel. If you have space, and if you're doing like Zoe had a futon in her room because they lofted the beds really high, and so she had a futon. But even if you're not, storage ottomans are a great like add-on if you have that extra space in your room, because they double as storage as well as seating. And I like the ones that the lids actually cover over it, and Poppin makes one that they sell. I think you can buy it directly from Poppin, Poppin, or you can get it through the Container Store. And I like theirs. It's sturdy, like it's not real flimsy, and it's great. You could store whatever. You could store your extra school supplies in there. You could store first aid in there. You could store, hats, outerwear, whatever you want in there. And then it adds extra seating. So if each one of the roommates gets one, that's 2 extra seats if somebody comes over. So big fan of storage ottomans. Um, I already mentioned the message board. If you want a clock, you could certainly get a clock for the room. But again, with our phones, most people feel like they don't need one. And then a mirror. I got a full length mirror, and you have to double check, because not all the over the door stuff works because of the width of the doors, and you might not be able to close them. But you can use a command strip on the back of, like, I put on the back of the actually the door to their room, and it's great. And it's like you could buy a full length mirror for $7, not a big deal. And that's nice to have. So that's it for pretty much for the room decor. So as you'll see, if you decide that you're going to print this out, you can just start to think about, okay, where, based on their room design, is each of these zones going to be? How much volume do I have for the space? What are their habits? Now, if you have a kid that is going to be close to home and you can go back and forth and swap stuff out, that's great. I know for me, my daughter was 13 hours away, so that was not doable. So we had to be really strategic about the stuff that we brought, what she was bringing home, when she was swapping stuff out. And, you know, the good news is nowadays with, you know, Amazon and Instacart and everything, you can get stuff delivered. So if there's something that you forget and you don't have a car, you can always have it delivered and you can probably have it within the next day. We're we're going to take one more quick break. And then when we come back, I am just going to give you kind of my parting words and thoughts and send you guys on your merry way. Okay. So if your head is not already swimming from all this information, I just want to say for any of the parents that might be that are listening today that might be just feeling overwhelmed at this process, it all works out. Um, there's plenty of people that have no idea and somehow they figure it out. But if you have this, use it as a roadmap. But again, it's okay to kind of go off script and figure out what you'll need and what you won't. There are going to be nuances for every kid. And the greatest thing that I can say is to have that open line of communication with your kids, empower them to take ownership of it. They're now setting off on this next chapter. And hopefully, we've done a good job at teaching them some of these basic life skills. And then this next chapter in their dorm is going to be their springboard into adulthood. So we're going to give them the tools and they're going to figure it out. And they may stumble along the way. They may have a few setbacks, but everyone figures it out. And so, for all my parents who are stressing about this, it's going to be fine. Trust me, your kids are going to do awesome. And they're more resilient than we oftentimes give them credit for. So I will be thinking of you as I drop my daughter off in a few weeks. And if you need any extra help, we're here. We're here in our Facebook group, this Organized Life podcast. You can always follow us on Instagram. I've been doing a bunch of like quick live videos showing stuff that I've bought for Logan. People are asking. Again, I put this template up for people to go and download. And we had over 300 people download it in the first like 4 hours. So clearly people are looking for, ideas and direction, and we want to help provide that to you. So again, I'll have the link to this in our show notes. You can also find it directly on our website. And congrats, parents, on getting this far. So I'm Lori Palau, and until next week, peace out. Have a good one. Bye.